Welcome, this is Carrie Schell from On Point Quilter. If you are in my Easygoing Hexagon challenge, you've been working with a lot of hexagon blocks. Or maybe you just want to learn how to use motifs in a custom set quilt. Either way, this tutorial is for you. Last week during my blog post, I shared with you how I drafted my hexie portrait. And in this tutorial, we're going to combine the hexie portrait with some hexagon blocks in a custom set quilt layout. So select the quilt work table and select a new quilt. On the ribbon toolbar, scroll to custom set. In the layout tab, change the size to 30 width and height. Go to the border tab and change the border to 2 inches. Go to the Design tab and under Block Tools Set Block, click on the 3 dots and select Add a Plain Block. While you are on Layer 1, drag the plain block on Layer 1. Select it with the Adjust tool and change the size to 30 by 30. Under Grid Snap Increments, set it at 1 inch and turn all the Grid Snap options on, and then center it horizontally and vertically. This is going to give us a background for all of our motifs. Select Layer 2 and then do a Set Block and go to Motifs and locate the portrait motif from the last lesson. Now I did some recoloring, so I'm going to go ahead and add my recolored one. Select it with the Adjust tool and select Center horizontally and Center vertically. Select Set Block and find some hexagon blocks that were actually done as motifs rather than blocks. So make sure you're on the Motifs tab and drag the blocks on the quilt. Now they should come in at their drawn size, which if you're in the challenge was 6 by 6. If you weren't in the challenge, just bring a number of other blocks that you've drawn into the program, and you can set those on Layer 2 as well. Using the Set Block tool, drag an additional 7 blocks on the quilt, and then with the Adjust tool, resize them to 6 inches if they do not come in at that 6-inch size. Now I want to position these hexagon blocks so they rotate around the person in the center. So to give myself a visual aid to do that, I'm going to create a new block. So go to the block work table and select New Block, Applique, Motif. Select the Ellipse tool. Under the ellipse properties, make sure you have the first one selected, which is the ellipse. With the controller command key, drag a circle on the quilt. In the precision toolbar, make sure the block width and height is set at 12. Under selected segment patch properties, change the width and height to 11, and then select center in block. Under sections, increase the number to 8. That's the number of hexagon blocks I want to rotate around my center motif. Then select Convert to Patch, go to the Color tab and color this, and select Add to Sketchbook. Select the quilt work table and now select Layer 3, and under the motifs, take the block that we just did and drag it on the quilt. Now it's going to come in without fabric because we put it on Layer 3. Select it with the Adjust tool and change the block width and height to 30 by 30, and then select Center horizontally and vertically. Select Layer 2. With the Adjust tool, select one of the hexagon blocks. Move it so that two of the outside points of the hexagon are touching the outside arc of one of the pie shapes. Now to rotate, we're going to use the Control or Command key and click on the center of the block. You're going to see now there's a little rotation arrow next to those crosshairs. That means we can select a corner and drag it to create the rotation. Now I can still move the block by clicking on and holding and moving the center. To finalize the placement, turn off Snap Block Position to Grid under the Grid Snap options. Then position the block so that it is centered in one of those pie shapes with those two outside points matching the circle. Now repeat that process for the remaining hexagon blocks. So again, we're going to, with the Control Command key, click on the center, drag one of the corners to rotate the block, and center the block on the pie shape. And if we want to release the rotation, we can use the Control key and select the center again. Let's quickly fast forward through the remaining blocks. If you need to delete a block, well, you still have it selected with the Adjust tool. Select Delete under the tools or use the Delete key on your keyboard. Select Fabric Tools and go to Layer 1 and color the background and borders. If you need to recolor any of the motifs, make sure to do that on Layer 2. Then select Layer 3 and with the Adjust tool, select the ellipse and select Delete. Now I think I want my hexie to be bigger, so I'm going to go back to Layer 2, select it, and let's change it from 12 inches to 18 inches. And then center horizontally and vertically, and select Add to Project Sketchbook. Thanks so much for watching. For additional tips and techniques, please subscribe to my weekly newsletter at www.onpointquilter.com.